Hey everyone, welcome to the TexAgs Rewind presented by Specs. I'm Maria Griglione and I am alongside Carter Adams.
Hi y'all. If y'all are looking to step up your cocktail game, get insider info on special releases, or order online for same-day delivery, just go to specsonline.com because the fun starts here. What was your favorite part of the show, Maria? I'm curious.
My favorite part was Luke.
Luke was good.
Short and simple.
I like the Go Hour. OB list, but there were some laughs to be had there. I also like the Baseball Bunch. Big series this weekend, so good insight as always.
Yeah, today we had Baseball Bunch with JB Moss, and we also had a full hour of Billy Liucci, so check out the Rewind.
So talk to me. So yesterday, I told the story in the opening segment. I walked by the lobby. I was like, "What's the deal?" Like I was like it's Luke in charge of Federico's,
I'm
future.
His new agent, yeah.
And I'm like, "What's the deal?" And you're like, "Just be patient. And there's some things that got to get worked out." And they ended up doing it.
Yeah, and this is a kind of recruitment win where it's just Billy said it best on the boards. It's unbelievable when you think truly about the ground that they've had to make up since getting here. Not just the fact that by the time Bucky had his whole staff or most of his whole staff hired, they were already 2.5, 3 weeks behind in the portal on getting in contact with these kids, selling Texas A&M, and you add on top of that the fact that the programs they're competing with for some of these guys, like Auburn, who just went to the Final Four, Ole Miss, who is they were a shot away from making the Elite Eight, NC State, Will Wade, they have all the hype, all the momentum, and Bucky McMillan has no proof of concept in the SEC yet, and he's able to win these massive recruiting battles against a Memphis or an NC State. And it's truly remarkable. The work they've been able to do in the portal, if you would have told me some of these names they're landing 3 weeks ago, I would have said, you're crazy. But Bucky just gets it done. Him and his staff have been grinding on limited sleep. And when you go on a visit to A&M, odds are you're going to be committed to Bucky McMillan. Their staff has been unbelievable at closing on recruits, and that's something that, quite frankly, you haven't seen here on a basketball recruiting side of getting guys to campus and then not letting them leave until they're committed.
I look at this team and I think to myself, why am I allowing myself to believe they're going to compete? Right? And look, we don't know. Like I fully recognize Maroon drinking Kool-Aid. Like I don't know how these pieces will fit, but a lot of times. These are names that I've heard.
Yeah.
Like these aren't like nobodies. And the quote unquote nobody's a nobody, but the people I wasn't familiar with, when I read up on them, I'm like, oh, Jacory Lane can score.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so these pieces that they're bringing, like, is giving me, we'll see how it plays out, but it gives me hope that this next year won't be a lost cause.
Yeah, Bronny's exactly right. I tried to do some homework before I came in, and I was printing off LSU's team stats, and Bronny's exactly right. I mean, they can hit. They can really hit. Their team average is over 300. They can slug. They're about even with A&M on home runs. They got more doubles, and then their two starters on the weekend are legit. Bronny can obviously tell you way more about that than I can, but A&M's going to have their work cut out for them, and they need to play really well this weekend to have a chance.
Richard, not to simplify it too much, but all these series against teams have been on the road. Finally, you get a number 2 ranked team at home.
Yeah, finally, you get to play in front of your crowd, your own home field advantage, right? And there's something to be said about playing in front of the 12th man. JB, I'm sure, could speak to that a little bit more than I could. But I remember you went on the road and played a number 2 LSU team at the box, had success against them. So what is it like playing against the Tigers, regardless of where it's at, whether it be in Baton Rouge or College Station?
Yeah, you much prefer to play them here than in Baton Rouge. That's what I would tell you. I would say that LSU was my number 1 favorite road experience in my time here. Arkansas would be a close second, but they're rowdy for sure. And look, anytime you play LSU, you're going to have to bring your lunch pail because they're supremely talented every single year. They recruit just about as good as anyone in the country. They're always well coached, but you'd much rather have them here, and I'm thankful that A&M does have this opportunity at home.
No love for your trip to Starkville and Super Bulldog weekend?
Yeah, that was up there too, for sure. That was a special weekend. We don't need to relive the glory days, but that was pretty fun, and that was also an electric atmosphere.
Well, Nick had just popped up the starting pitching comparisons, and one of the things that sticks out about LSU's top 2 starters, Anderson and Ianson, look at the strikeout numbers.
Exactly right.
102 strikeouts in 64 innings for Cade Anderson, who I talked to a pro scout last weekend in Austin that said best left-hander in college baseball. Better than Jamie Arnold at Florida State, better than Liam Doyle at Tennessee. Wow. That's a really high praise. And Ianson right here, 91 strikeouts in 59 innings. Those are astronomical numbers.
Mississippi State just fired their head coach, and the other 3 teams have first-year head coaches. So I just think that it's part of the growing pains. I think it's part of taking the lumps, and I think, as everyone up here has told you, this team is continually shown to get better. And I think as long as they continue to move in the right direction, that, I think this team still has a chance to get to Omaha.
Of those bottom 4 teams, Texas A&M is legitimately the only team, I think, that has a chance to get to the postseason.
Agreed.
And of those bottom 4 teams, they're the only squad that can not only get to the postseason, but as JB said, make it to Omaha.
Well, and Florida's tied there, and no one is saying.
And I would put Florida in that category too.
That O'Sullivan, is in a position where he's in trouble or anything like that.
Sure. Nor was I.
No, but I'm just saying, even the experience. You've got 2 national championship head coaches or programs. One of them, Mississippi State, fired their head coach. But you just look at that and you say, hey, where is this league? Well, this is a league that chews teams up and spits them out no matter what your talent level is, what your coaching staff is. You have got to be confident and play good baseball week in and week out. And that's what the determining factor on who's at the top and who's at the bottom, other than Missouri, which has got talent issues and some other things that they're just not on the same playing field. But to act like South Carolina, A&M, Mississippi State, Florida, whoever else you want to put in there isn't a talented team is being disingenuous.
Yeah, to JB, you asked how many teams has Texas A&M played that are more talented than them. If you change the question and say how many teams has Texas A&M played that are as talented as them, that number's way different. And that's the difference in this league. And you've seen it firsthand that when you go to Starkville or you go to Columbia or you have LSU come in or you have Arkansas come in.
And you don't play your best, what happens?
You look across the dugouts and you go, that team can absolutely beat us, talent for talent. We're identical. So then it comes down to who can make the big pitches, who can execute with runners in scoring position, who knows where they're supposed to be on bunt defenses.
Exactly right.
All of that stuff gets magnified. And home runs and power production, that is erasers.
Mm-hmm. The running one to his left out there, he covered so much ground to get over there and make that catch. But because of his Superman grab and because of Jace's catch and by Keel, that was still ridiculously. It was a real display of athleticism and speed. And man, Caden Sorrell, I know we talk about Jace and for good reason being some would say number 1. I saw him at number 7 today. A top 5 potential pick, certainly top 10. Tell me why Caden Sorrell doesn't look like a future MLB All-Star with everything he brings to the table. But anyway, that said, Ben Royo was the most effective guy at the plate over the course of the weekend for A&M. It carried over. Man, if you get some hot bats at the right time, I'd love to see Gavin Cash or Schott get into that mix as well.
Yeah.
So be interesting to see this weekend who heats up, how Jace does. He had a very emotional weekend last weekend, but this one as well with, for the longest time there, he thought he was going to LSU. Another thing, I'm sure they pointed it out. How about facing, it's not an advantage for you. You can talk about the wind all you want, but I'm more concerned with, because both teams have to play the wind. But this is 2 weekends in a row now that the opposing pitching coach is intimately familiar with a lot of your lineup. Now, Nate Yeske less than Max Weiner because Max was here just last season.
Right.
But Yeske as well. There's some guys, and you're also facing 2 really outstanding pitching coaches back-to-back weekends and a team full of arms. So, but here's the thing. That ain't no different than what you saw in Fayetteville the week before. And Texas learned that lesson last night. It'll be interesting to see the Horns, how they bounce back. They got a road test, a real one. I know Kentucky doesn't stink, and I know they beat A&M, and we're not talking about A&M. We're just talking about top tier in the SEC. You're talking about the teams that are at the top right now, at the top half, and A&M's been at Vandy. They've been at Texas. They've been at Arkansas. They've been at Tennessee. That's 4 of those they've played on the road, with a 5th coming in Georgia. Texas has been at nowhere in the top of the SEC. And this weekend they started off and it was 9-0 last night. I think Texas will compete and they still could win the series. I think Arkansas will pull it out now, having to win 1 of 2. But
Carter, tell them what to do.
Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Comment something down below. I want to see a comment on the rewind.
Hold on, what was that? It was just like you did like a trick with the microphone.
Did I do a little
what was that? Oh my, okay. Whoa.
That was a pretty cool trick.
We're ending it on that. That was awesome.
Wow, that was
See y'all.